Well, esports is an extremely fast-growing market, and since its collision with gambling, has become increasingly more important. So a lot of people that are not only just consuming and watching the games now, but they're actually looking at ways to kind of wager on those games. So when we talk about North America, that market hasn't as yet opened, but it will do probably in the near future. Most states are not allowing for sports betting, but a few states are, and it looks like others are going to follow suit. So obviously when we've got our event in North America, we researched last year, we put a lot of emphasis on finding out what our attendees want so we can respond in kind to make sure that we're supplying that adequately on the show floor. And we found that 35% of the audience found that esports is of interest or will be of significant interest for them in the near future. So what we're going to do, we're going to sort of put a huge feature focus on esports. We're going to make sure that it's very authentic. So we're inviting down some professional teams to come down and scrim. So that's just a terminology of pro players, pro teams sort of practicing against each other. So it's not necessarily a tournament, something that we had in London, but it's definitely sort of connection that you have with teams. So we're going to be inviting down tournament organisers, publishers, everybody within the kind of the esport ecosystem that would have a stake in esports and gaming. And the way that we're going to do that is that we're actually going to bring in this cool feature, which is a truck. So it's an Allied Esports truck, it's one of theirs. And essentially it's got everything that you need. So it's got the sort of 10 PCs, it's got a whole sort of production setup, it's got a VIP lounge and bar at the top. If this is your first connection to esports, or either of you know about esports and you've been tracking it in the media, the best thing to do is come down and sort of have a look at the truck, because it really is kind of boiled down mini ecosystem. So everything that you kind of need to know if you were to do your own tournament. So that's one half of the story, to kind of introduce our audience into esports. But the other half of it is perhaps more important, is to make sure that whatever we're introducing, it's translated and it's useful for our audience. So how we're going to do that is we're going to bring in expert presenters. So we're going to do a research-led presentation base. So people are going to have presentations for 20-30 minutes. It could be on topics for like data and esports, or influencer marketing, or land-based resorts. How best can the esport ecosystem work in that regard? And so we're going to go out to all of our attendees across the section, suppliers, operators, and we're going to ask them kind of what do you need to know about an esports? What is high up in your agenda? Then we're going to find the relevant speakers. We're going to do key presentations, and also we're going to have lots of gameplay, which we're going to focus on esport titles which are gambling focused. So CS:GO or Dota, for example, which bring in high revenues for the esport wagerer, from the esport wagerer. So yeah, we're going to do that, but more importantly, we're going to translate it. So we can have gameplay just going on from the truck, but that probably doesn't mean anything to anybody that doesn't play Counter-Strike or Dota 2. So it needs to be translated for our audience. So we need to know what's going on the screen. We need to understand the sport, if you like, if it's a new sport, if we can consider it like that. But more importantly, we need to make sure that it's applicable to their business and really sort of like more weighed upon kind of why it's useful for the gambling population. So we're going to bring in all that in for North America, like it was asked for last year. So we're putting a huge focus into that this year. And I guess the most important thing, really, I mean, that sort of connection to an esport event and to those expert speakers, like tailored speakers, is something that you would normally pay for. But with ICE North America, it's free to attend, and we'll bring in all the professional aspects and features. So it's free to come along.